Good morning, traders and YouTube. Let's have some look at some technical analysis. Let's look at GU, EU, and AU. Let's see what's the business there. What is there we can look at and potentially take a trade from. So as per usual, I'm going to start off on the daily and just identify where I expect the daily draw liquidity to be. And so I have this swing leg marked out with this high and this low, and in that leg towards the downside, identifying where's the 50% mark, discounting premium, so equilibrium is almost exactly at these highs. And then also we have this imbalance up in the premium market. So my expectation currently is to see price maybe make a pullback, but ultimately run these highs and trade up into this imbalance. So this is for now the expectation. Not sure, it won't probably happen in one day, but for this week, I would really like to see price reach that area. That's scenario number one. The second scenario is we see a sweep of these highs into premium, also tap into some of this imbalance over here, and then make a deeper pullback towards the downside before doing whatever it wants to do. So for now, I'm only analyzing price going above this high, maybe going down again, or above this high and continuing up higher. The other option is the price will find sufficient liquidity or volume within this order block and then only continue lower from this area and not even go higher to grab any liquidity. So that's the third option that we see price only react here, maybe make a small sweep of yesterday's high and then continue lower. So currently those are the three main ideas. And just to recap, number one, break above, continue higher. Just on that note, before we go do that, we could see a sweep of sell side liquidity first and then go higher. Number one. Number two is we go up and then we trade down lower. Number three is we just sweep. We don't go above this high and then we go lower. And obviously the final one, which is all our favorites, is just if we just go sideways in here. That's also something that could happen. So there I've outlined the situations that we could expect or see happening. So we have to be open-minded and be aware of those possible scenarios unfolding. So now we'll drop down to the 1 hour. We'll have a look at what's happening in here. So if you try to get all that price action in just like this, we're going to zoom in now, but here we have those previous highs. We'll just readjust it to the wicks for now, the imbalance above there. And then we're looking at current price action. So current price action is suggesting a upwards trend. So it's very clear to see that we are trending towards the upside. Now, we need to identify and see that the order flow is bullish. We can see that. We need to identify where is the most recent sell side liquidity. So whenever I'm bullish, I want to see, so this is a little trick, not a trick, but a tip. And whenever I'm bullish, I want to see sell side liquidity swept before going higher. So this is one of my favorite setups. If I'm bullish, I want to see where's the liquidity. I want to see price sweep that liquidity, maybe even tap in an imbalance or an order block, and then continue higher. So that's kind of my favorite setups to take. So identifying what's that, where do we have that currently? So currently we have these equal lows, liquidity, relatively equal lows. And we have imbalance down here below. And then we could just place a tool and just see that this is currently the range, the low and the high, and this would be discount in this range towards the upside. So this would be the ideal scenario for price to move, the textbook setup. And obviously you don't get this every day. So for beginners and new traders, you often think you see one textbook setup and then expect that to see that every day. But the reality is it doesn't happen every day exactly the same way. So on the 1 hour, this is our range, the low and the high. This is where we're currently trading in. Why is this a range? Because also this broke structure towards the upside, signifying that this was the last low made and this was the last high made. Now we're still in between. We're not above it or not below it. We're still in between that range. So now, for today, I would love to see price dip below and then continue up higher. But and well, the nice thing about this is price coming down into this area won't make it bearish, depending on how fast it probably goes down into it. But ultimately, this is just the discounted level of this range that we're trading within, and it's the uh, imbalance, first liquidity within the discount, which is important as well. Now we could also just see a small sweep of the downside, sell side liquidity, and then a push up higher. But let's have a look at the 50 minutes. So all of this is really messy. So as you can see, messy price action, but we have liquidity below there. We have liquidity below here as well. And then towards the upside, we just have this target and these equal highs. So there's all of our liquidity objectives. This low could be a low to sweep, but we just need to look at what price is doing in here as well. So currently, we can see the price is made this cutoff pattern where we sweep the lows, starting to push up, but not yet sweeping or breaking any highs just yet. So for now, I'm just going to be patient. I'm just going to be mindful that price is reacting off of this imbalance over there. And if this breaks structure, strongly breaks structure like it looks like it's going to do, then maybe this was then the sweep on liquidity of these lows towards the left. Let's just mark that out as the sell side liquidity. So we just put on sell side liquidity. So this could then have been the sweep. So we don't necessarily need to see it go all the way down there. Obviously, it's preferable to see price trade all the way down there and then up. But this could be enough. Let's drag that out. Break above. Maybe look for a pullback for a confirmation entry and then further continuation towards the upside. So in all cases, we want to see a confirmation entry. On the 1 minute or 2 minute, we want to see price break structure and then maybe come back towards an origin and then continue higher. Or if we break structure above, we leave behind imbalance, see price come down into that imbalance, respect it, push away, come back, there's your confirmation entry, and then go higher. So those are the different scenarios that we are looking at and which I'll be trying to identify. So currently, what I'll do is I'll mark out this level because that is where it started. This is the low, that circular liquidity below these lows. And I think also maybe, no. So that's the other thing, we still have these equal lows. So I am mindful that around the session openings, Frankfurt Open and London Open, we could see a sweep first below these lows and then a push higher. So I'm not going to be in a rush to take a trade before the session opening because of knowing that we have liquidity below these lows as well as in this imbalance. You can see the 15-minute imbalance is also perfectly aligning with the 1 hour imbalance. So that makes it even more higher probable that price will tap into this imbalance. So I definitely can see price trade into this area, maybe even a New York setup if price is silly in London session and we see a drop, and then maybe we see the trade set up in New York session. So that's kind of it for now for G. I'm not going to drop lower. We have those areas. We can maybe just have a quick look at the 5 minutes. You could refine it to this area. I will probably do that because this wick swept liquidity on those lows and then pump towards the upside. This does look like a promising setup because we have the imbalance in there as well. So this does look like a good setup if we get a nice return and then a continuation up higher. So I will set an alert in this area just to be notified as to what happens and if price returns to this area. Okay, so that is kind of it for GU right now. I'm not going to trade anything before a session. I'm going to have to wait for the session. And ideally, we want to see a sweep of this low and then the entry towards the upside. So I'm going to maybe wait for a sweep of this low Because think of it this way: where will the modern day smart money trader look to trade? They could identify this as an order block. Yes, they did not break a lot of structure, so they might identify this one as a POI because it's breaking structure. The trend is bullish, so they might consider this one as a valid order block. Yes, I absolutely could respect it. If we get a confirmation entry, I'll also take a long from there. But I'm just aware of the sell side liquidity resting below these lows for price to take them out and then to go higher. Because then everyone that went long here, stop losses will be there, they're taken out. Everyone that's gone long here, stop losses below this low, they're taken out as well. And we see price continue up higher towards buy side liquidity resting above that high. So that's currently the framework that I'm trading, that I'm within. So now I'm looking at the ranges within in terms of liquidity. Where is the liquidity in liquidity ranges? So we have a low, we have a high. So this is currently the liquidity range, low, high. We're trading within it. I want to see a sweep of external range liquidity. This is external because it's outside of the range before going up higher. So that is the idea, the setup idea that I have. That's stupid. Let's just do this rather. Put this one over there as our buy side liquidity. So that's currently the ideas that I have. I'm going to remove this one. I'll keep this one on and look for this, preferably. And also, remember, if price does push down, I need to see a 1 minute break of structure before I get an entry to go long. You can't just enter as price pushes down below the sell side liquidity and hope that it's going to go higher. Why? Because we have a deeper drawn liquidity down here as well. So if price is going to draw towards this liquidity, then it's just going to go lower. And then you're going to get stop out, stop out, stop out, stop out, stop out. And trust me, you don't want to be there. I've been there. It's not a nice place to be. So rather sit on your hands, rather miss the short that you maybe could have taken, which is a counter trend trade. But if we only take with the trend rates, then we want to take a trade as a buy. So either from below this liquidity, in this area, or in this area. So that is currently the situation that I'm looking at. And I'm going to stop GU right there. Euro USD. I'm not going to go into too much detail. As you all know, I mainly trade GU. So we're going to have a look at GU, EU. So this was a liquidity I've marked out yesterday, just before yesterday. Noting that we have the highs there. Price stripped this highs, traded into this imbalance. You can also look at it, the range from high to low. We're in this premium, so potentially we could see a reaction down. I'm thinking the price could go higher. We had a nice run on liquidity below these lows, pushed up and broke the structure over here. Broke the structure there as well. So I'm thinking we could go higher. But to be honest, I'm not a EU fanatic. I'm not a great EU. The 1 hour is still bullish. You can see the 1 hour is bullish. I do think perhaps you could also just see a pullback before a continuation higher. In this case, the satellite liquidity is very clear. With this low, if we can sweep that low, maybe get a confirmation entry for longs and then go higher up into this area of imbalance. Maybe first rebalance towards the downside and then continue higher. So that's also something to take note of around the session openings to see that happening. Maybe just the London session opening. Something like that. 15-minute. For shorts, maybe on the 15-minute, because the 15-minute is breaking some structures towards the downside. We could get a short trade potentially something like this, and then go lower. So EU might set up a short trade, but don't trust me on EU, or don't blindly follow anything I say on EU, because I'm not that much of a fan of EU. I'm just doing this for you guys, for completeness sake, to have my biased view on it, because I'm biased towards GU. So don't, yeah, take what you can from it. So I'm not going to trade it. So probably could see a reaction around this area, which will result in a sweep of liquidity above this highs, tap into the imbalance, and then go lower. Or just as we've recently seen, price just drops and then taps into the area and then maybe take the long. So that's my 2 cents on EU. And then Aussie dollar. So the daily, what's happening on the daily? So we're in a downtrend. That's very obvious to see. We've traded back up into this massive bullish bearish order block, traded into it. Now we're seeing some sort of reaction pushing towards the downside. Where's the current liquidity? Well, the liquidity is above this high. And there's liquidity. Okay, so just one thing that I want to point out, and that's something that I'll discuss in more detail, maybe in a course one day or in whatever, maybe if I do something like that one day. But if you see this high as actually a weak high, because it's low, did not break the previous day low. So this is a weak high. So remember, in on low time frames, when you have a weak high, this would be considered a weak high, weak supply, because the reaction off of it, let's say you have this, the reaction off of it did not break any structure, so this becomes a weak high, and we would expect the price to run that high if it reacts clearly off of the demand and go higher. Same is true for the daily time frame. So if you look at the daily time frame and you look at the highs that did not break structure towards the downside. So in this case, obviously there will be manipulation sweeps, but look at this. This high broke the structure above this high, but it pushed down and failed to go below the previous day low. So this high becomes weak. The next day was a consolidation day, but the day after it traded above the previous day and that weak highs day. Now, if we apply that same knowledge to this daily candle, this high then becomes a weak high because it did not trade even below the opening of the previous day or the previous day's low. So this high is then a weak high, and I'm expecting price to run this high, liquidity above this high in an uptrend. But if we start to break down and close below, then this high becomes stronger. Hope it makes sense. So if price shows signs that's going to sweep this high, then I'm looking for longs. If it shows signs that it's going to run down towards this low, protect this high, then obviously looking for sells. Hope that logic makes sense. Let me know down in the comments if you've watched this far, and if that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, we should do a video on it. So let me know down in the comments. 1 hour time frame. We just have a look at where are we in the current range. So this is currently the range. Put it out like that. We have not basically just tapped perfectly the 50% level, and I was seeing some sort of reaction. So for me personally, I would want to see just conviction of a structure break and then a continuation long towards the upside, towards that previous daily high, which should be a weak high right now. You can see here over here, we did not trade below that previous daily low. We just stayed above it. So making this a weak high. Well, that's the working theory. I could be wrong. That's just me testing things out. So don't quote me on it, but I'm testing it out. So I'm seeing, and you guys are seeing it now with me, testing it out. So let's see if we can get a setup long potentially if we break above, pull back, continuation higher. Yeah, I'm not going to go into too much detail. The video is getting long. So that's kind of it for today, guys. Let's see how it pans out, how it plays out, what will happen. Let's see. Do we get just a continuation? Do we get a trade down lower in session opening? I don't know. But that's the nice thing. You don't need to know. You just need to react when you see price do hit a level or do hit a logical area to take a trade off of, and then just wait for confirmation. So there's no need to predict. We just need to react. So that's why all of this is, in a sense, meaningless, because price can do whatever it wants to do. We could have missed something. I could have missed something that you may be looking at and seeing now. But that being said, that doesn't worry me. That doesn't faze me. I just wait to see what price will be doing, and then I react on it. Whatever it is that price is doing. So, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. If you watched till the end, I thank you. And then I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.